Right, hello. We're going to do the Thumb Bandit decode and Thumb Bandit decode. This is like absolutely crazy on a personal reference here. And this is really the only reason why I'm doing this decode is just because of what happened to me a few weeks back. So I'm going to tell you that story, and then I'm going to show you this. We're going to show the reference to this in Back to the Future. This is the opening scene, so this is like we haven't even really got 1 second into the film, and this is what you see. Okay, so this is a reference to another actor and another film, which we will look at. And then we're also going to look at Don McLean again, because of course you've probably seen the videos titled Thumb Bandits or something. And I'm going to show you how all this ties together with this film, Don McLean, American Pie, to a certain extent what just happened in Iran, and we're just gonna let's just crack on with it. The problem is I've got so many bits and bobs all over the place here. Again, it's going to be a disjointed video, but we'll try and get through it. Anyway, so the first thing with the Thumb Bandit reference, I really need to go back to this scene in Back to the Future, which is the hoverboard scene, okay? And this is the newspaper from the hoverboard scene, which is October the 22nd, 2015. Bit difficult to see that there, but that's the date of the newspaper. And the time that they're actually in that scene with the hoverboard crash into the clock tower is, again, it's the 21st of October 2015. Okay, this is the paper from the next day, and again, the reference in here is Thumb Bandit Strike. Okay, and then when Doc and Marty look at this thing, they both have their thumbs kind of on the page as well. Okay, I'm not going to. Problem is, when I try to go through this stuff, it doesn't really work out very good. But he's going to look at it as well, and this was before and the after as it changes. Okay, and that is the Hoover Dam scene. Okay, right here. Now, what do I want to show you in here? Is there something else I wanted to show you? Yeah, there's also the reference to Save the Clock Tower here as well, and this dude says, thumb 100, thumb 100, and why I bring that up as well is the thumb reference, and I don't have the I don't have the calendar up, but the 100th day of the year is 410, the 10th of April. Okay, and the clock stops on what time? Not in this particular version of it, but it's already stopped at 410. Okay, or 10:04. Okay, right. So with all that being said, there's this reference to Thumb Bandits in that scene. Now, if you go to Don McLean and his artwork for American Pie, this is the album, okay, titled American Pie, with the 8-minute 42-second song on it, American Pie, which is an apocalyptical song. Okay, you'll notice that the thumb is painted up here. Okay, so there's a reference to the thumbs up. The thumb is painted. And now I'm going to get onto my personal reference here. Okay, so like a couple of weeks ago, I was doing some electrical work, and this is kind of really important as well, with the clock stopping because of the bolt of lightning, because of the electricity. Okay, and I'm going to show you a number jump that also ties into that, to do with the Hoover Dam and electrical generation. Now, and one other thing with that, with the Hoover Dam, with the first power generation, again, that was on 9/11/1936. So 9/11 is the first power generation, the bolt of lightning, okay, that we see again as the thing that stops the clock tower, okay. Just going around in circles with the ideas, but anyway, let me get back onto my story before I get sidetracked on talking about blooming bolts of lightning and everything. Anyway, I was doing electrical work at home. I was pushing some wire down a piece of conduit, which is pretty interesting in its own right, talking about like tunnels lately and everything. So I'm pushing this piece of wire down some conduit, and it just wouldn't go. And I had it set up where I didn't want to have to pull the whole piece of conduit down to thread it again by, make it easier to thread. So what I end up doing is really pushing on it really hard. And the way I had my hand and my thumb, the wire gave a little bit and my hand went flying into the end of the conduit, and it basically almost ripped off my thumbnail. It pretty much separated it all the way down to, where the cuticle is. Okay, so it's just hanging on by a thread basically. But yeah, pretty painful, pretty darn painful. Anyway, that was my thumbnail coming off, which is, again, if you look at this, I know this isn't the right side for the thumbnail, but the thumbnail here is represented with the metaphysical aspect of reality, with the flag here. This is the 5-pointed white star. It's to do with the metaphysical with the blue and the white, okay, Mary. And so that nail hitting and almost being removed, quite interesting, right? I didn't write down the date that happened on. I wish I had have. It was probably significant, and I should have done that. And I subsequently, I'll tell you what else happened in just a second. That nail was hanging on by a thread, and it subsequently came off. Now I can't remember if it was the 7th of March when that nail finally came off, or whether it was the 8th, which was the day I was looking at for Madonna. I wish I'd written that down as well, but I didn't. I just wasn't really thinking about this at the time. When I first did it, I'm like, oh my goodness, that's a Thumb Bandits reference. But I didn't think any more of it. I didn't go and check anything with with American Pie or anything, which is what I should have done. And I should have written some, dates down. But I'm pretty sure it was either the 7th or the 8th when the thumbnail finally came off. Now, I will say, back when I was at college, I accidentally removed. I had another incident with a finger where I basically crushed the end of my finger off. I was stacking some railway sleepers or railroad ties in America onto the front of a tractor, and the bucket on the tractor was an old style trip bucket. You just pulled a lever. Anyway, it decided it was going to trip while I was still stacking stuff on, and so all these railroad ties come down on my finger, and basically, as I pulled my hand out, I lost my nail and the end of my finger, my middle finger, the flip off middle finger, okay, and yeah, that was probably the most painful thing that I've ever done. Anyway, I lost that nail. Anyway, I had to go and have an operation because they had to cut the bone back and sew it all back up again. And the guy in the bed next to me, I guess we were in a finger and whatever ward, to deal with that kind of stuff. But the guy in the bed next to me, he had blown his thumb off doing some kind of electrical work as well. He had really damaged his thumb badly. So And that was the last time I lost a nail as well. Okay. Also, one more previous time on the same thumb where I lost this nail this time, just this last few weeks ago. Um, I've actually lost that nail before as well. Okay, and I did that when I was, I should imagine, probably about 14 or so. I don't have any dates for that or anything else. But that nail had to be removed at that point as well. So this is like 3 references. There wasn't really an electrical reference with the first one, although I mean I was using an electrical tool, but that was about it. So I guess that's a marginally electrically related. I guess, I don't know, not really. I was just using an angle grinder and caught the top of my thumbnail, and I went to the hospital. Oh, we're gonna have to take the nail off. So they had to remove the nail so it would grow back correctly. So anyway, kind of interesting though, with the removal of the nail with my hand, with that one thumb, my right hand, by the way, in case anybody's wondering, and then on my left hand, my middle finger on my left hand was the other nail that I lost. Interesting with the railway connection, the railroad ties. Marginally interesting as well. Long post-shaped things, like tower shapes. So you could think about the twin towers there, and it was actually up on a tractor it was actually on a fork on a tractor, a muck fork. So you got the trident reference there as well. I don't know, like 9/11. So there's lots of anyway, personal synchronicities. Let's get to the point. Anyway, it made me think about this a lot more, and I thought, well, I'm going to go back because I'd seen some time ago somebody, I don't know who, was talking about this. It wasn't a decoder, it was just like a random video. They were talking about this clock, and this is actually from a film called Safety First, which is kind of ironic with what I'm talking about, losing my not doing safety first, because when I was doing the electric, everything there is to do with just cutting corners and not trying to just shortcut something and not being safe about it. Anyway, Safety First is the film that this is from, and this is Harold Lloyd, which is pretty interesting, seeing as it's Christopher Lloyd later on in Back to the Future that's hanging off the clock like this. Okay. Anyway, see if I can actually make head or tail of what I'm talking about here. So the whole thumb bandit thing, very interesting, and what was I going to say as well? Kind of interesting as well with the American reference here, to do with what I'm going to tie this in with as well. Okay, so where do I start with the number jumps? We're going to look at Don McLean as well in this, so we need to know his birthday, October the 2nd, 45. We're also going to, where's the film gone? That's all old stuff there. Safety Last. Okay, yeah, Safety. Did I say Safety First? Safety Last is the name of the film. Okay. Interesting with the big red eye here. And it's interesting here. He looks a bit like Harry Potter doing the. I haven't seen the film. I'm gonna watch it at some point. You can actually watch it on, by the looks of it, on YouTube. Not YouTube, Wikipedia, but it's probably on YouTube as well. Anyway, it kind of looks like Harry Potter with the wand here in his glasses. So it wouldn't surprise me if there's some Harry reference with Harold. It wouldn't surprise me if there's some Harry Potter references with this dude as well. But again, and then we got the Howl up here as well, with the Howl 9000 with the red eye. I mean, I don't know what to say other than there's. I haven't done a big and deep enough dive on this yet, and I'm sure there is way more to it. I'm thinking like Safety Dance as well probably ties in with this because of the scene in Back to the Future has some guys with red hard hats on, and yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's just several things that make me think about stuff. This film, we're going to need the release date, which is April Fool's Day 1923. Look at the 73 minutes coming up. It looks like it's 73 minutes 53 as well. But and what else do we have? I think we'll just get on to we'll go on to some of the number jumps because it's really quite fascinating. Anyway, the first thing though, how do we tie this dude? So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. How do we tie Harold Lloyd in with Thumb Bandits in with, you know, this imagery with the with Don McLean, yeah, with this reference to the blood and bandages. You know, remember the red and white is the blood and bandages. Yeah, so I had the blood and bandages on my finger on my thumb for several days. Okay. Anyway, how do we tie Harold Lloyd in with the with this connection? Well, just so happens that August 24th, 1919, really interesting numbers with, again, the song American Pie, because, number one, I can't really write on my little writer instrument, won't work on Wikipedia, but 1919, remember, we were talking about 19 before and the pie reference. 19 is a mirror of the word pie. P-I and 19 are mirrors of one another. So this is interesting with 1919 with pie. And then August the 24th. The 824 or 248 is the length of the song American Pie. It's 8 minutes 42 seconds long. Okay, so if you put that 8 on the other side of here and read it backwards, you've got the length of the song, which is again Pluto, the orbital period of Pluto. We go back to Pluto is 248, and so that ties us right back in with this number, ties right back in with Lucas numbers, what we've been looking at. Okay, so there's a lot of little bits and pieces that, you know, all this ties to, but he, while doing some photos, picked up a prop bomb and lit it. Didn't think it was, he thought it was a prop bomb, but I guess it exploded and he lost his thumb and forefinger. Okay, so are we getting to it now? Thumb Bandits. Okay, yeah, the Thumb Bandits. Somebody took his thumb. The Thumb Bandit is this dude, maybe. I don't know, but can you get the reference? He lost a thumb, right? Anyway, there is our connection with Thumb Bandits and this character. And we also have a connection, of course, to 1021 and 1022. The big numbers 1022, okay, because of in Back to the Future, because of the date on the newspaper that references Thumb Bandits, okay. And again, you know, at the start we've got that scene, and then they're re-referencing it, you know, right with our 9/11 stuff with Doc on the clock tower. So we're going to look at some number jumps now. We're going to see how this ties together. Hopefully I've explained that well enough. Okay. So the first thing is, I'm going back to this. I'm actually looking at, because of the 3/8 date, and I forgot to mention this. I actually knew about this before the Madonna. I don't know if I mentioned it or not. I don't think I did. But before I did the Madonna 3/8 reference, and that prediction date for Madonna's death on 3/8. I actually knew about this, and this is actually Harold Lloyd's death date here, 3/8/71. So, and we're going to go back to this date with what just happened with in Iran on with 3/8 as well, because this all ties in with that. So anyway, what we'll say here, 3/8/71 through to the date in Back to the Future gives us, this is the date on the newspaper, 163 days, or 16300 days. So we've got 163 coming out of that. Now, if you recall, 10/22/2025, which is this last year just gone, was this big, that's the big decode for Eli Manning and Madonna in I Pet Goat 2. Okay, you have to go back to a previous video if you've not seen that one. But on that day, Eli Manning was 16363 days old, which tied into it tied into the Colne FC on the Hoover Dam. It tied into Madonna's Super Bowl halftime show, where she did the goat ritual up on the side of the dam, just like they shone the goat of Colne FC up on the side of the Hoover Dam. So there's all this connection, and on that particular day, Madonna was 67 years old and 67 days. 6767. Okay? And I showed you some stuff with the song as well that tied all in with that as well. 6/7 song. Okay? So, but we need to remember that this 163 is extremely important to do with the numbers 11 and 18. Okay, 11 and 18. Okay, now I want to show you something else here. Okay, I want to go and show you from a lyric while we're on the 6/7 subject with that 163. Now, in the song American Pie, there is, of course, the lyric the day the music died, and it's a reference back to, as we're told, it's a reference back to, if I can find the blooming thing here, where is that? Here. It's a reference back to February the 3rd, 1959. It was the plane crash that killed Buddy Holly, yada yada yada. Okay. The trio, the top rock and roll trio killed in airplane crash. Right. So this is the day the music died. 2/3/59. So again, 2/3/59 through to 4/10, and this also, of course, ties us in with our 4/9 date for the Hoover Dam, because we're looking at 4/9 and the midnight hour, and the clock stops. Okay, 4/10, 10:04 on the clock tower. Okay, now remember, we've got this reference to Harold Lloyd as well on the clock tower, the thumb bandit, and we've got Don McLean with the thumb reference in his American Pie. Now, from the day the music died is 67 years, 67 days to 4/10 this year. Okay, tying in with Madonna's 10/22/2025 date. Okay, which is basically 10 years after the newspaper in Back to the Future. So keep that in the back of your mind. That is pretty darned interesting. We're going to see some more 6/7 stuff come up, or 7/6 stuff come up in a little bit. Okay, one more big thing. Okay, this is the release of the album American Pie. So of course this is when the song came out as well. And then there's another release date which I can't seem to find again, but I'll probably have a look for it. It's a later November release date as well. But 10/24/71 through to 4/9, it's a palindromic 19891. Okay. Again, this number, the main character I think about with this number is Matthew Perry. That's his birthday, the 19th of August. And also Matthew Perry was also in the film Fools Rush In, all to do with birthing at the Hoover Dam. Plus, he's been in a whole bunch of other stuff, and we've done all kinds of connections with him and Julia Roberts, yada yada yada. Another thing with this number as well is that number flips around to give you Madonna's birthday, 16th of August, and they're just, of course, 3 days apart. They're two days apart. 17th, 18th, 19th. Okay, well, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th. So, pretty interesting with that particular number being a palindromic number, and yeah, just loaded with stuff we've looked at before. In fact, coincidentally, I just left this in here just because we were doing some stuff with the Lady Gaga 911 song in the last video. Her release date for that is a 918, so just interesting stuff, right? Anyway, this also has a few other interesting things with it. It is 2250 prime, so 2025, and that number as well is, again, there's another interesting number, and then you can break it on down again to 1915, which again, the 915 stuff is, there's a few 915 number jumps with this stuff as well, okay, which we'll come on to. I think in a different order, but similar numerology anyway. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to this really big connection now, and this is Harold Lloyd's death through to. I don't want this one. Just did this one, didn't we? Hang on. No, what's the one I wanted? Oh, let's do this one first. This is the. Okay, these are in no particular order. This is why I'm screwing up stuff here. What's this? 820. So this is when he lost his thumb. Okay, Harold Lloyd lost his thumb, and now I've put the electrical connection in with the Hoover Dam, the first power generation at the Hoover Dam, the bolt of lightning being created. Funnily enough, in the film, when Doc's like, where am I going to get 1.21 gigawatts? Well, at the time, you probably could have gone to the Hoover Dam and he could have got 1.21 gigawatts in 1955, maybe. I've looked at that before. I couldn't find the data for that particular year, but it was close to that amount of power being generated, within a few years of that date. So, anyway, just a side note there. Anyway, this is the thumb loss to the power generation, so the electric reference. So this is kind of the reason why I picked this, is basically because of my personal reference. The Hoover Dam has the clock towers. The Hoover Dam generates the electricity to get Marty back home free again. Okay. 6229. Again, don't forget that Michael J. Fox's birthday is a 6-9, and also the 2-9 stuff, and the 6-2 with Madonna, and the 2-9 with the White Wedding stuff. Anyway, click it or ticket. 811 prime. Okay, so this is absolutely crazy, because this 811 is just, well, it's just loaded. Okay, it's just absolutely loaded, with references back to 49, with references back to 163, with references to 29. Okay, and you can also get 911 stuff with it. You can get 218 stuff with it. So yada yada yada. It's around in circles, but this is very important balancing sort of number there. Madonna's son Rocco's birthday as well. What have we got here? Kind of trying to keep track of where I'm going. Okay, now we're going to get on to some of this stuff with Iran. So this is the previous supreme leader of Iran that they killed on. That well, you take the American. I'm not going back to it, but this is who America killed on 228. So 228 is going to start popping up here in a minute. So we need to. This is why we're looking at this dude, right? And I'll show you why. Well, yeah, there's several reasons why we're looking at 228. But anyway, Madonna's birthday through to the dude that just died in Iran, 7060. Okay, so the 67 stuff coming up, right? Because we're going to see that again as well in a slightly different format again in a minute. Just marginally interesting. This dude here, okay? And we're going to look at his death date here as well. So where are we going down? Come on, let's get to this one. So this is the safety last, okay, and Don McLean, his birthday, okay, American Pie, and the thumb references the bomb, okay, and I don't know. Anyway, we've got the 4-1 again, okay, April Fool's Day, and I want to say this. April Fools may be the start of America falling. I don't know. It could be the fall that, you know, when everything starts falling. The marker 4-1. Anyway, clock tower numbers again. Numerology with the clock tower. It is from the film through to Don McLean is 8220 days. Yeah, so we've got in reverse the 228 showing up here. Now let me show you why that's. I hope I got this in order. Let me show you why that's interesting, because this is Madonna's release of American Pie, her version of it. And in fact, I was wanting to show you something else with Madonna first before I did this, but there's a reason why, because Madonna does American Pie, and there's also another Madonna connection in here. But 2000 is her release. Now, if you were to write that in the English format, okay, and we get rid of the zeros, it would be 822, and then we'd have the 3 zeros on the end of there. Okay, so just note that you can botch this to get to the 822 again with her release of her song. Okay. Anyway, through to this is now her American Pie through to Don McLean, his birthday, 19852. 19852. Now we're going to look at Don McLean's American Pie release through to 228. Okay, 2026. 19852. Had to have the end date included, but it's the same number jump. Okay, I thought that was just interesting with this 228 date, and the fact that from the film, okay, safety last, obviously safety last, you get your thumb blown off, and this, I just thought it's just, you know, just interesting, you know, just an interesting connections, right? Here's this Madonna reference with this now. So this is Harold Lloyd's birthday, now through to this Ali Khamenei, whatever his name is, the Iran guy. 19th of April 39. So Harold Lloyd and Iran guy 16800 days, 46 years basically, minus because you have to include end date or whatever to make that work. 46 years. That is absolutely mental, especially a lot of 4-6 stuff recently, or 64 stuff, and this is just crazy that Madonna's numbers are coming up between those two. Right. Anyway, also thanks to Will Sutherland, because he mentioned as well with Die Another Day, the abbreviation Die Another Day for the initials for that is DAD, Dad. Dad, this is the dad of the next guy going in. The Die Another Day stuff links into the 10/22, 2002 with Madonna, and so it kind of links in with this as well, because this is the father of the guy that's going in. Okay, the new guy. Okay, so the dad reference again. Thanks, Will. And what else do we have here? This is so that Anyway, that number jump's just mental with the two number jumps that match up to get us to that date. Then 10/22/2015 through to 2/28. This is the date in Back to the Future. 3/7/8. What was this? Was this something interesting or not? For some reason, I've got that in there. I don't know why. I felt like there was something interesting. Oh, no. 10 years, 13, 130. I can't remember what that was. Why I had that still in there. Maybe it wasn't interesting. Not really sure about that one. Anyway, it could have been something else that I'd been tinkering with. What was this? No, that's the same. I don't know. No, I don't know why I had that in there. Anyway, don't matter. Carry on, crack on. Out of interest, 8/24, that date in the regular calendar year, is 228 days through to 49. Okay, so there's 228 showing up again with the jump through to 49. Okay, that's interesting. What else have I got here? Here's another interesting thing. This is 28. So this is Madonna's American Pie, and this is the Iran guy again, and it's 22210 days. Now I saw this date, which I thought, well, it's worth a mention. It's just interesting because Harold Lloyd's wife, I don't know if he actually met her in the actual film Safety Last or what, I don't know. But anyway, we'll come down to his, I wonder if that's in here. I don't know where that'd actually be. I had it in here and I don't know what I've done with it. But anyway, Harold Lloyd's birthday, wedding day, actually I know how to get to this. I have to find this again. Let's go to this. Let's go to the girl in the film. Okay, he's called the boy. Kind of interesting. That's my son's nickname, the boy. One of them anyway. Her birthday. Notice the numerology for that is 22201. Okay, so there was a match up there, and what I thought was interesting about her as well was the August 18th, 69, because I'm like, birthday that is August 18th, 69 is, well, I put it left in here, Edward Norton, Fight Club, a whole bunch of interesting stuff. 18th of August 69, so he's born on her death date, and we've just had a ton of there's just a ton of stuff with him. Okay. Um, Anyway, what else we got? Look at old Helen as well there with the reference back to blooming Harry Potter and oh geez, you just go. I'm telling you, it's just so around in circles with all this stuff. Where did I get to? I know this is just super random all over the place. I do have the wedding date for him and her in here as well somewhere. I'm sure of it. Their wedding date. Anyway, carry on. I don't know why I had this one in here either. This was 2/8. This is Madonna's American Pie through to Die Another Day. Okay, the song for the film by Madonna. 9/8/7. Oh, it was the 16th Fibonacci. I feel like there was something interesting about that as well. I can't remember. 8/2 composite. 8/20. Anyway, carry on. I felt like there was something else interesting about that, but I've forgotten it. Anyway, this is Harold Lloyd's death through to the 3/8 date that we were looking at for Madonna. Exactly 55 years. And here's the 20089 reference again. Okay. And I can't remember if that was something interesting as well. 2271. Okay. This is a random thing here, which I didn't really need to leave in here actually. But this number pops up all the time. I thought I'd just leave it in. I also, what do I want to say about this as well? There were some other number jumps involved in here that were coming up with this as well. But I don't have them in here now. There was some like 1719 or something, or 1718 you could get as well. It's just like, I don't think that was the exact number, but those are the numbers that were involved. Anyway, this is Christopher Lloyd's birthday through to 419, the Iran guy, Iran dad. Okay. 179. Okay, and of course you can do that and get to your number 18, which is pretty important as well. Okay, now what else have I got in here? This is just what tail end random stuff. This was his wedding date. Harold Lloyd and Milfred. Was her name Milfred? Through to the. See, I will go through to the film and see what that is, because of course the clock tower is all to do with the white wedding. You know, that's Charles and Diana and the white wedding. And so I thought I'd just have a look. 50 days. 50 days. Yeah, this is the bullseye, the red eye right here, and you've got to go 49 to get to 50. Yeah, so that is pretty interesting. What else have we got here? This is Madonna American Pie through to 410 this year. 9559. 2662. Again with the 95. You know. This is Day the Music Died to Madonna, 171. Oh dear, and that's something special as well. Can't remember off the top of my head. 18th triangular, and the 131st with the train on 1022 as well. Dear, oh dear. Okay, what else we got? This is, I thought this would be an interesting one to do with Elvis dying, the day the music died, through to the day the other music died. 677 with the 6/7 references again, the 195 day references again, 195 days from 2/3 through to 8/16, so that's important as well with the 195 stuff. 677 as well. I didn't put that. I should have put that number in the That might be something interesting by itself. Did I have? I thought I had something for that. I'll tell you what you can do as well. If you go back to this to the start of this, right, and put in, go out to 677. Okay, so you have the same numerology there. For Elvis dying, okay, that date. I guess we should have looked at the date before I got off of it. Where the hell was that now? Come on, Dan. So that day is what? In reverse, pi. 314, pi. Remember, all this stuff is to do with, this is the wrong cycle, the wrong chart. Let me do this chart here. It's all to do with this row here, this cycle here, which is to do with pi. Okay, and here is our pi number in here. This is the start of the cycle right here. This is why L is so important. It's the beginning and end of that cycle. Here's our 3-8 that we've just been looking at. Super important. Okay, and here's our 4-9 that we are also looking at, and also 4-4 for Madonna. So very important again with some of this stuff. And I had some other I had some other bits and pieces that tied in with the whole thing. But you've got to remember as well that with these numbers we should be seeing quite a bit of 9551, 195 stuff. Okay, should be seeing quite a lot of 195 stuff with this. And again, remember the channel to go watch for 195, 951. That numerology is We Seek, We Find. He has got a ton of decodes for that number. Okay, We Seek, We Find. Great channel. Okay. Okay, pi reference, yeah? Pi. Now, what else we got? So that was that one. That was Elvis and Madonna's 19th birthday as well. Remember 19, what I was saying earlier. Pi and 19 are mirrors of one another. Okay, super duper important. Right, next thing. So the day, either that day or that day, my thumbnail fell off. Notice the 28 or 29 and going out to 4-4. Okay, now remember what I'm saying is this references the metaphysical. This would reference Madonna or Mary at the top of here. My thumbnail fell off. And now with all this decode here, 28 or 29 days for the white wedding. 28. Oh, super duper interesting. What I got here? 420. Harold Lloyd's birthday. Through to 816. Just in a regular calendar year. Let's remember it's 118. Remember that number jump I showed you to do with the electricity earlier with the 811. 118. The birth of Rocco. Okay. And also if you flip the other way, no, don't want it that way. Flip the other way, it's 247. Okay, which is to do with the tunnel. Okay. That we did in that whole sequence here, yeah, the 247 in reverse there, yeah, to do with the tunnel. What else I got? This is just random tail end stuff. I don't know if this is even interesting. What's this? Day the music died. Don McLean. 4873. Oh, 29th star. I thought it was worth leaving in there. Just especially as we just had a 29 right here with the one before this. Okay. 37L through, or I guess, I don't know, there's a 27 in there as well that you can pick out. Okay, so whatever way you want to do that. And also, of course, the star If you are going from 3-8 and you get to that day, yeah, the rebirth. This is, I guess you call that the white wedding, right there. Okay, so that would be pretty important. What else we got? Running out of stuff now, Dan. I'm running out of steam. Yes, I run out of steam as this is the Montparnasse train crash. This is again 1022 referencing Die Another Day, Christopher Lloyd's birthday, the Montparnasse train crash where the train goes through the station and over and out onto the pavement like it's crashing over the side of the cliff, you know, and of course this is our Thumb Bandits newspaper date as well. Okay, Harold Lloyd, I just sort of put this in, well, just because of the 1022 stuff we've been looking at and the fact that he's 1893 and it's pretty close to 1895. I thought, well, there's be some low numbers here. 915, or again with the 916, the 96 on each end of there. But again, the 915 numerology showing up. And finally, we've got to the end of it. The whole thing again, with the thumb removal, through to American Pi 19055. Okay, fascinating stuff, I'm sure. I don't know if there was anything interesting with that. Probably not. 16890. Anyway, that is it. That's the decode. I tell you what's, you know, when you see stuff like the 228 that was showing up in there, re-referenced with a, you know, two number jumps that are pretty much the same, involving Madonna's release on a 228 number, and then Don McLean, and also don't forget that Don and Donna and McLean and Don and Madonna, you know, very similar stuff, sounding stuff again. That was our 19852, which was his release through to a 228. So I mean, that is just pretty fascinating. Okay, and that is pretty fascinating. It's all pretty fascinating. Thanks for watching. I think I've covered everything. I guess I could do one more thing while I'm on the topic of this, especially with that, with the 96 stuff. And as I mentioned, Marty's, Michael J. Fox's birthday, 6/9. Okay, now, let me just show you something here. I want to get back to this point. The batter up. So okay. So first thing is the father there was in Iran was hit with an airstrike. Yeah, this dude's coming along on his like jet here, and he's going to try and strike Marty, except he misses, of course, doesn't he? And Griff goes through the window here. Now, what happens though at this point? Let me show you something, because I can't quite remember what Cody was saying, but he was talking about the Royal Arch in one of his decodes, and I left him a message about this because I've talked about the Royal Arch or the Masonic Arch before, to do with this symbolism, and especially in here as well. Now, gone too far there. This is the point where we want to be at, right? Let me show you this, because I don't know where I put this in another video, but when you look at the Masonic or Royal Arch, and Royal Arch equals the same as, now blooming hell, I can't remember, the gematria is similar to Hoover Dam, I believe. I believe it's almost identical. I think it's just one number off maybe. So Hoover Dam and Royal Arch matchup. I wish we could put it in right now, but I'm not going to worry about it. So that's the first thing. Maybe we should just put it in. Let's just go back to here and let's get a calculator up real quick. And let's do this. Let me put it in. If I can spell Royal Arch. Okay. And then let's do Hoover Dam. Okay. And let's look at those two words. Okay. 101, 47, 142. And then we got a bit of the switch up. You know, a bit of a change around on the end there. So they're pretty good matches for one another. Now, when you look at that image there of the Royal Arch, what do we have? We have the Twin Towers, okay, and as you look down, this is the Hoover Dam, okay. This is the dam shape, and we have Marty. We have Marty McFly, and there's other people that got this as well, like Johnny Depp. But Michael J. Fox has the 6'9" birthday. There's the 6'9" keystone right here. Okay. Now, when you remove the keystone, the arch crumbles. The dam falls. Okay. So the removal of that, the keystone, the capstone, whatever you want to call it, because you could refer to that as the capstone as well, the sort of pinnacle of the thing that holds everything together. When that is removed, that thing falls. You know, notice that, you know, in Man on Wire, another Zemeckis film, he's got whatever his name, Love Hewitt. Is it Love Hewitt? Whatever his name is, Hewitt, whatever his name is anyway. He's got that dude dressed up like Marty, he's playing Philippe Petit. Remember, the Philippe is very important. Prince Philip's death day was a 4/9, and Philip has the phi, okay, the golden ratio reference, okay, and then it has the Twin Towers, and then it has the IP, which is pi, okay, on the end. Yeah, it's just a reflection of that. So the Twin Towers and the golden ratio. So Philip is a super interesting name anyway, right? But anyway, of course, he doesn't fall off the wire between the Twin Towers, but this is, you know, representative of that thing in the, you know, when everything's balanced, okay. But this is what we're talking about, is the idea of this thing being removed and the dam breaking, and so that removal of that thing is the birth of that thing out of the dam, okay. Notice the shape of that thing as well as it fits into the dam. It's a phallic symbol into, you know, that's how that key fits together, okay. The key and the gate. This is the gate, okay. Let me show you something in this clip. This is where I'm getting to. Oh dear, oh dear. Let me play this. You're going to see the rocket as Marty takes a dive in the drink. You'll see it hit a spot right here on the edge of the sort of pond thing, lake that's in front of the clock tower. And that is, I believe, a reference to that keystone being removed. Now a minute. Let's turn that down, but that's way too loud. Okay, let's do this. See it? So you can see him hit that. He's coming up on the airstrike. Marty's going to be reborn. He's going to be baptized here. Okay, and the keystone we're talking about is like somewhere here. And that's going to be hit And that is the destruction of the Hoover Dam, not to mention also the swing and a miss. One of my decodes. There he hits the keystone. Okay, and yeah, the rest is history. Yeah, and breaks through the glass, through the mirror, through the glass, through the portal. Okay, through the window. Okay, that's it. It's done, right? I just wanted to put that in somewhere. I've talked about it before, but it's super duper interesting. Um, it's a super duper interesting reference back to the Hoover Dam, and the the main thing as well about that whole scene is it's a repeat. So in Back to the Future 1, these two things are referenced when Marty takes the milk crate off of the skateboard, the skateboard. And so that reference again is just like the first one is 9/11, and then there's our arch, yeah, okay, for the Hoover Dam. Okay, hoverboard, okay, Hoover, hover. It's not too much of a stretch. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry I waffled at the end there, but I just felt like putting that in somewhere. Then I can get rid of this tab and not have to do a separate video on it. Alright, thanks. Alright, I'll catch you later. Cheers. Bye.